Jimmy's Jam Box. Keep jamming.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another exciting episode of Jimmy's Jam Box. We're here, we're back at it again, and we're going to get on into it. But before we do, as always, please make sure to like, subscribe, push all the buttons, do all the things. You know, I don't know where they are, but you do, and I trust you. With that being said, let's go ahead and get on into it. Here is today's guest.
Dramatic pause. I just want to do that just for fun. I just want to see what it felt like. What's going on, everybody? It's your boy, Scooter Rogers, Eastside's very own. Yeah, it's good to be here, man.
Hell yeah, thank you so much for joining us. Why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about, like where you're from, what you do, give us that like Tinder profile of your involvement with music.
All right, I like that.
Oh yeah, and this episode definitely sponsored by Capri Sun today.
Oh yeah,
See, I actually sponsored by them.
That's why I had to turn around at first. I know a product placement, but yeah, get y'all one.
I mean, I'll give them this one. They're delicious.
I like that. You know?
Yeah.
Welcome to the club, by the way. We just off the air, but yeah, welcome to the club. But yeah, Northeast Portland all day, man. That is he is I and I am him. I've been around music for quite a bit. Just my dad, older brother is pretty much my influence. How do I put it? Because everyone's like, it's hard. It's a hard question. Like, what do you do in music? I like to try to write extremely dope shit.
Okay.
Stuff that people can feel.
Okay.
But overall, I kind of write myself to make sure I get out of the lens of like being put into a box. You know what I mean?
I gotcha. Because
you hear a certain like sound and you're like, oh, that's got to be so and so.
Exactly.
I want it to be more so of like, not necessarily a shock, but like, I could hear him on that.
Yeah.
I could hear him on that too.
Yeah, create that familiarity.
Yeah, so
we'll actually dive into that a little bit later in the interview.
Like
so let's save the meat for the center. But let's keep diving into it. Just getting to know you a little better. Do you play any instruments?
Currently no. Used to, yes.
Okay, what'd you used to
So
play?
I used to play the clarinet and the alto saxophone.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Band kid.
Major band geek.
Nice.
Shout out to Mr. Burlingame. I don't know where the hell he is in the world right now, but Randy Burlingame, thank you.
Hell yeah. I mean, shout out Randy, you the man. When did you get into music initially? Because it sounds like it's been around
standpoint,
you. Or just like when did you start creating music?
Yeah. Probably in that case, I would take it to like 7th grade. I used to try to write my music on the saxophone, but I was nowhere near disciplined or good enough to play it.
It's a complicated instrument.
Yeah, so I just had a whole bunch of like notes and shit that I couldn't even really string together.
Yeah.
But it looked cool, and I thought I was like the next Mozart in 7th grade. And then time kind of elapsed. I wanted to play basketball more than I wanted to sit in a room and be bad at an instrument and like loud and like, if I'm on the side of the house and like my jump shot's just shit, like it's only affecting me.
Yeah.
If I'm inside in the basement and I sound like shit, I'm impacting the entire house. You know what I mean?
That's a valid argument. Yeah, you're right.
Nothing if not considerate, man. But yeah, so fast forward, I took a break from creating music for a while. It wasn't until 2019 when I was like, yeah, let's do this shit. But that only became a thing because a couple years prior, actually about a year prior, my buddy Mike Bars, pretty big artist in the area, had a show that he was performing at.
Okay.
And he needed something to fill the space in while he was doing the wardrobe change.
Oh, gotcha.
And I was the kind of friend who was like, I never considered myself a rapper. Like for a while, I was like, I don't want to be no fucking rapper.
Yeah.
LOL. But I was like freestyling stuff at parties and whatnot. And Mike was like, yo, can you just jump up and like freestyle for a little bit while I go get changed X, Y, and Z? And I was like, word.
Yeah.
People liked it, and that still wasn't enough for me. I was just like, okay, that was fun for what it was. Let's move it right along. And then 2019 hit, and it was like July or something. I was just like, yeah, I think I just want to like make some music just for myself.
Yeah.
Even if I never put it out, just to like have it for myself to play or whatnot. And then so I started doing that, and then just ended up performing at open mics and shit like 4 or 5, 6 times a week and stuff like that. Yeah.
Putting in the work.
I didn't have anything recorded, so if I didn't
step out,
you can't go anywhere and click anything. You know what I mean? So I kind of forced myself to be in those rooms and network and really push myself and get over the fucking stage fright. Yo, having to find your voice on stage is some of the scariest shit ever.
Man, I'm going to take it a step further. Finding your voice through the microphone. If I had $1 for every time somebody's like, man, I hate hearing my voice recorded. And I'm like, no, you just hated the microphone that was on your voice, or you just didn't like the way you were like figuring out like mic control and understanding dynamics and realizing that you have to control what is supposed to be arguably one of the like easiest things to do as a person to communicate. Like it's odd. It's
a weird thing to get comfortable with. You know what I mean? Like
until it happens, and then you're just like, oh.
But then when you find it, then it's like, yeah. Thank you for tuning in, ladies and gentlemen. But beforehand, I was like, fuck, I got to talk into this. Because it's also one thing to like be at a party rapping with the homies or whatnot. It's a regular voice.
Yeah.
No one cares about nothing. But like when I first heard myself back through the speakers, hell no.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a trip.
I must have done a take on that at least like 40 something times. Easily. And I was driving myself fucking nuts. But I was like, I don't like the way I sound at all. So yeah, that shit took a while. But yeah, 2019 is when everything kind of really kicked off. COVID hit, and that was like the best thing that happened for me because everybody was stuck inside anyway. So all I had to do was like sit and just like
just go for
my craft. I had nothing else to fucking do.
Yeah, you were supposed to stay home. Yeah. You know, it's weird how a lot of, because I've asked a lot of people their origin stories, but I'm just noticing it now. 2019 seems to be the year that a lot of people got inspired. It's hard for me to remember what was happening before COVID in that year, but something about the first half of that year was like really spicing things up for people.
Okay, so there was this whole thing in the atmosphere, and everybody was like, oh, 2020, the year of clear vision and being inspired, recognizing which one, blah, 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 blah. And then we step into 2020 and no bullshit had happened yet. Everything literally felt too good to be true for a little bit.
Yep.
And then Drake and Future dropped Life is Good, and then life had been shit ever since. So when two toxic niggas drop a song called Life's Good, just know that we're all in for it. You can't make this shit up. So yeah. All right. That's my conspiracy as far as the rap game goes. The Illuminati shit, whatever.
Yeah, this shit, guys, though, please don't come after me if this is real.
This is real.
Hey, you know what? I'll call that a fracture in the timeline.
Aubrey wouldn't harm us.
All right. Now, this next question, this is one we ask early. It's one we ask often, and it's definitely a crowd favorite.
Oh, shit.
What was the first album you ever bought with your own money?
Oh, The Block is Hot, Lil Wayne. I was 6 years old, 1998.
On it.
Music Millennium. That was the only album he didn't swear in.
Oh, okay. That's an interesting fact. Also, shout out Terry from Music Millennium. He was on early audio platform guest.
Oh, yeah. For real?
Or he was an early audio platform guest.
Shout out to him. Absolutely.
Super cool interview. It's on Spotify. If you go check it out, it's a really long interview.
I'm so glad that store. I still go to that store and buy stuff every now and then. When I bought my previous car that I had gotten like last summer or so, me and my cousin went to Music Millennium. I went and grabbed like West Side Boogie's album, Elton John and Bob Marley. Got a sweatshirt. Yeah, bro, that was a good day.
Hell yeah. Oh, also one other fun fact. My first album was The Carter.
Come on.
Yep.
Come on.
I can still do the entire intro song from memory.
Let's go.
Yeah. Big fan. And what was the first show you ever went to?
The first show I ever went to was at what is now called the Motor Center, the Rose Garden. Mm-hmm. My dad took me and my sister, and TLC was headlining. Lil Bow Wow had opened. I was in like second grade.
Okay.
But that was the first show I went to. Yeah.
Hell yeah. I feel like somebody
else.
And I've
always been taller than Bow Wow, just so.
I don't think that's hard.
Even in second grade.
Fair. All right, let's go ahead and get to know you as the artist. We're going to dive right into it. And we're going to get the easy one out of the way. How'd you pick your name?
Oh, yeah. So, Scooter was a nickname that I got like as a very, very small child because I never sat the fuck still. I always wanted to be doing something. I always wanted to be getting into something. I had so much I wanted to explore. And it also kind of doubled down at practice because I would literally, you on a team with your homies and whatnot. We don't really care about what coach is talking about. We're kids. You know what I mean? Like we get Capri Suns and we lose our damn minds.
Yep.
And so our coach would strategically like sit us away from our closest friends. And what do you think I would do?
Just scoot
By the time he's done talking to us,
me
and Brian, shoulder to shoulder, baby.
Shout out Brian.
Shout out Brian. He moved to Arizona, I think, like second grade. That was my dog until then. But then the Rogers part of it came from Mr. Rogers' neighborhood on OPB.
Okay. Yo, shout out Mr. Rogers.
It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood.
Hell yeah.
And so I used to still wear cardigan sweaters. I used to get made fun of a fuck ton for those sweaters, bro.
I could believe it.
And especially being like one of the smaller kids in class at the time too.
Mm-hmm.
But then I went and hit a growth spurt and went from like 5'3" to 5'10".
Okay.
And suddenly nobody wanted to pick on the kid anymore in the cardigan sweaters. And then some of my homeboys started wearing cardigan sweaters. We go like the middle school dances and stuff. And all of a sudden I'm seeing dudes in like polos and cardigans that were wearing
yeah.
Because back in that day, it was, damn, I hate saying old shit like that. Back in that day sounds crazy.
I know,
bro.
right? And it's something you can't really say until you reach a certain
Because I'll look you in your
point.
face and try to convince you I'm still young and then say some shit like back in the day and go back 20 years. Like, yeah, wild. But at that time, we were wearing like the big ass baggy jeans and shit.
Mm-hmm.
And we had the rubber bands around the ankle so it wouldn't bleed onto your shoes with the 4X YTs and shit. So to see my friends were wearing that, make fun of me for wearing cardigan sweaters and whatnot, and then
move on over to it.
Yeah, so I just took two things from my childhood and then just mashed them together.
Hell yeah.
But you'd be surprised how many people are like irritated when they find out it's not my actual government name. It's the weirdest fucking thing ever.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I was kind of relieved to find out it wasn't. Not that I would have judged you for it, but like, man, your mom would have done you dirty to name you Scooter. You know what I mean? Like that.
You know
like
what I mean?
Before even knowing you. Like to name you Scooter, like
be crazy.
That's
something you just want to you know them right. There's some like pattern you picked up on. You don't just fresh out, just boom. That's what you're stuck with. That's a fucked up assignment.
Exactly.
Terrible.
Yeah. So I didn't think that was the case, but I was happy to find out that wasn't.
Yeah, I've seen some people with some fucked up names though. I once met a woman named Taco Champagne. She'll never hear this, so I don't really give a fuck. You don't have to bleep it out. Quick story, then we get back to it. Swear to God, I was working at the gym. It was like my first year I came back home from college where I was working at the gym over in Gresham at Crunch Fitness. And when you were sending people at the front desk, you had to get their driver's license, their ID or whatnot to input their information or whatnot. Mm-hmm. If you were under 18, you had to be accompanied by an adult. Mm-hmm. So this woman walks in with her daughter and she wants to get her set up for a membership. All right, cool. Like, yeah, let me get this little minimum wage shit going. You know what I'm saying? Like, we on it. And she kept calling the girl TC. And I was like, that's got to stand for something. But I don't know what it is. So in my head, I'm making up a whole bunch of things, you know, that could possibly make sense.
Yeah.
She handed me the fucking and it said Taco Champagne. I'm gonna leave her last name out of it, but it drove me fucking nuts. And I do a really bad job of keeping a straight face when shit is like uncomfortable or funny. And all I could do is just drop my head and just let my shoulders bounce. But anyway, yeah, that's how I got the name. I just kind of roll with it.
So. Oh yeah. Also, shout out Taco Champagne wherever you are. I hope you're doing all right.
I hope you changed your. It's not my call.
Now take us through your writing process, and specifically, I want to focus on when you get inspired. Obviously, that we can jump past that bit. But what are the things that you tend to do recurringly? Like, what are kind of your go-to things to like get into the motions? And then, what decides a track's ready to release?
The one thing that gets me there's not one thing really.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, like, you know, like, do you usually like lean towards like drums? Do you usually like try to think melodic? Okay, so then you just freeform it every time.
For me,
then
like,
how do you get into it?
I'm really big on feel. To me, that's the first thing. It's gotta be that, because if you don't feel it, who gives a fuck about the rest of it?
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, and that's why I think delivery is so important. And so the main thing I think of when I hear a song, it could be different factors. I mean, one day it could be the drums. The next day it could, you know what I'm saying, it could be the synth, or it could be, you know what I mean? But whatever it is, it's got to be something on that track that really hits me and makes you think, damn, okay, yeah, I want to write this. I want to see what I can come up with when I spin this.
Okay.
And the reason why I say it's got to be a very specific thing is because I've heard a lot of great beats. I'm like, oh, this beat objectively is dope. I can't hear myself on it.
Yeah.
You know, it's like I could rap on it, but like it's not something that like really struck me or moved me.
Yeah, and you were mentioning that earlier.
Yeah, like it's something I have to feel. Yeah, that I don't really have I think if I had to narrow it down though, I would say the build up. The first probably like 10 to 15 seconds of the song is where you got my attention.
Okay.
And based on that build up, in my head, I've already got an idea of like, okay, where's this about to go?
Gotcha.
If it goes where I expect it to go, dope. But please make it like undeniable.
Yeah.
But I prefer a lot of times when I'm thinking, okay, it's gonna go this way, that it goes somewhere else because it's gonna make me automatically shift my brain and go, oh, I didn't think about it this way. Well, what could we do with this?
Okay.
And then once my wheels get turning like that, then I try shit.
Gotcha.
So
Oh yeah. And then like
it's
I said,
very unorthodox.
yeah, I mean, I think how you get there is not as important as the get there part of it. You know what I mean? Like, I think we're all so different. It would be silly to stick to the same format nonstop. You know what I mean?
And with that too, when my brain kind of gets going, like some people write their rhymes out like in sections.
Mhm.
Mine is like an entire idea.
Oh, interesting.
And it gets really complicated because if you were to take my phone and just read this while the beat was playing, you would have no idea how I was going to deliver it. You know what I mean? Because it's not broken off in sections.
Yeah.
But it's just like one long ass run on thought. But it's,
Hey, I mean, if that's how it works,
it gets the job done.
yeah. And also, nobody's ever going to just like grab your phone and like do it real quick.
Facts.
Yeah.
Well,
You got it behind like a secret code.
I know somebody that'll try to read my lyrics in here. Look at that, camera's off.
All right. And then, like I said, what decides that a track is ready to release?
Once I've sat with it, because here's my thing. We're our biggest critics, you know what I mean?
Oh, yes.
It's a room full of creators in here. I don't really have to say that, but, you know, for the folks, you know, give them
Yep.
for y'all. But I'm my biggest critic. So when I do a song and I sit with it, the first few times, I'm not sitting with it just like, oh, this is hard, this is dope. Like, I already thought it was dope. That's why I put in the time and effort to like create the song, go record it, etc.
Yeah.
Now I'm sitting here like, okay, let me wear these songs out first. Let me get tired of these songs, because then I'm going to take a couple week break and I'm going to come back to it. When I come back to it, I still need to feel something. And if I don't, it doesn't get put out. Like, I got a gang of songs in my phone right now that I'm still kind of like in that little phase with right now.
Yeah.
But it's got to be something that when I come back to it, I can still feel something. Because
yeah.
I don't want to just make a song that you play once or twice, say, oh, that shit was good, and you never come back to it again.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I almost want to kind of timestamp something for you.
Gotcha.
Like, trigger some type of mood or emotion. It doesn't have to be super deep, but something to make you feel something. So each time you hear it, you can take yourself back to it. So when you get away from that time, you want to feel that again, you'll come back and press play again.
Hell yeah.
So when I feel like I got that with a song, forever feel, or I'm aiming that song to be in, that's when we'll go put it out.
Hell
but
yeah.
until then, I let that shit sit.
I like that. I like that a lot, actually. That's really cool. And it's cool that you like will give it that window of time where you like almost burn yourself out on it just to like create the need to separate it, and then create like that that familiarity. Like, you get to gauge that on your own.
Yeah, exactly.
And like, it's intentional. So it's like, it's done with thought. And that I think it's a really effective part of the process that like, I think a lot of people could actually really benefit from. I think that's kind of a good takeaway for anybody watching this episode.
For real. I think facts. Make sure y'all tune in.
Yeah.
I think it's just super important, because if I can't resonate with my own shit, how in the fuck can I look you in your eyes and expect you to?
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
If I don't believe in what I'm saying, why in the fuck would I expect you to? So when I come back to it, I still got to have that same feeling, that same attachment. Otherwise, I can't put it out. Because once I put it out, it's out.
Yep.
You know what I mean? I need to be able to stand on that every time somebody press play. And if I can't do that, I don't want it out. That's when I decide it's ready.
And actually, that segues us really well into the next question. Out of all of the songs you currently have available,
which one's my favorite?
Well, if you could only show somebody one. So if you had to pick one to show somebody for the first time, which one would you pick?
Shit. That is so tough. That's like asking me to, I don't know. Damn.
I mean, it doesn't imply that they can't go listen to the rest of them.
No, 100%.
But you have to show somebody one the first time. Yeah, you have to show somebody the first one. Yeah.
Can I give you a semi-unfair answer?
I mean, you can give me whatever answer you want.
It kind of depends on what side of my artistry I want to introduce that person to.
That's a good answer.
Like, I don't have one uniform song that's like, hey, this is me all summed up in this. But it's like, if you were a person that kind of had like more of like the feeling like introspective and like reflection, like kind of deeper stuff, and like really like feeling something to an emotional sense, I would probably give you Vending Sessions off my third album.
Okay.
And let you really just feel that and walk through and give you something you can resonate with. If you were really just want some shit that would hit hard in the whip, that's catchy, fun, bouncy, you can just have a loose time to, I'd probably send you Field Goal for my second one. It's just like, stuff like, so I don't really have necessarily one particular song that I could just say, hey, this is me. But depending on what you were looking for, I probably got something I can give you and say, well, here's who I am to this extent as far as this particular thing goes.
Interesting.
Because there's still more layers and whatnot behind the artist. So,
Hell yeah.
yeah.
Hell yeah. Now, it seems like connecting with the listener is kind of a big focus of yours. And
Absolutely.
So in that respect, obviously performance must be a big thing for you. Being in front of people, as you've mentioned earlier, it's it's kind of in your bag. Tell us about either your most favorite, or if you have too many favorites, the wildest show you've ever performed at. Or if you have a story for both, you can tell both stories.
I think my favorite show I performed at was at the Big Legrowski, and the reason why, I fucked up and I had double booked myself.
Uh-oh.
And I didn't realize I double booked myself because I was just ripping and running, doing so many things between work.
Yep.
And I did like 3 or 4 or 5 open mics and whatnot, and like networking and shit that week. Like all my days kind of
They jumbled
they
together.
ran in together,
Google
yeah.
Calendar wasn't as prominent yet.
Hell no, nothing was where I needed it to be to get me through that time.
Yep.
And it wasn't until like 1 p.m. where I started getting like messages on Instagram. I'm responding. I'm like, I feel like I'm talking about the same shit. Why do I feel like I keep repeating myself? And I looked and I was like, oh,
2 different messages.
My God, there's 2 different chats going. I booked myself for 2. And I was like, shit, okay, how am I going to do this? And so I reached out to my buddy Shad and I was like, hey, I have to go on first.
Yep.
I can't headline tonight, hold the pay, whatever you need to do, but like I have to go on first because I got to get this other one because this other one was more of an important obligation or whatnot.
Yeah.
And I was like, how am I going to perform back to back? Like I know, because at the time, like now I'm a lot more controlled performer. Yeah. Like I still get the energy out, but it's like, it's very intentional.
Yeah. You can gate it a little bit better.
Younger me was just like, let's fucking bounce around everywhere. No backtracks. I don't care if I can or can't breathe. Damn it, we gonna have a fucking party. We gonna love it. It's gonna be raw energy.
Yep.
You can't fucking do that with a back to back. It doesn't work that way. But the only thing I knew to do to get myself through the first show was to do that. And so I do that. I shot my wad. I'm tired of shit. The next show is like a few blocks down the street, thank God, which was nice.
Yeah.
But now I'm like, I'm standing in the crowd because I just exerted so much energy. And then I had this long cool off period.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm watching everybody else go up.
Adrenaline's going away.
The adrenaline's gone.
Yeah.
So now I'm just sitting there like, fuck, how am I about to get up for this next set? I don't know what I'm about to do. And we get up and the energy in the room, like it was intimate, but it was so fucking, it was electric. And normally that shit it sounds corny as shit. It's like, oh, it was electric. It was really that, like you could really feel it in the building.
Yeah.
I don't know what it was. Like I got done with that set and I just cried. Like it was that much energy in the room. Like nothing bad had happened. It was just like so much pure energy. Everyone was just in there for the love of it. Like that was the best night of my life. 100%. Wildest night.
They are rarely attached together.
Yeah, no, definitely not. Definitely, yeah. My favorite night. 'Cause I don't thrive in the wild shit to that extent. Like I do some wild shit, but like not to where all the chaos is happening. That's not really my jam.
No, I feel ya.
I think the wildest show night. I think the wildest show night might have been at the Lab back in March.
Okay.
It was just that type of like atmosphere. Like people were going fucking wild. It was like us plus like the Afro dance scene and everything. And everybody's just going fucking nuts. Somebody's stalker pulled up to the show and got escorted out before we could even get the show started. Like shit was crazy that day. I think that might have been the craziest shit that was happening that night. Like, it was so much like love, but also like so much like crazy, like almost like controlled chaos behind the scene and shit. Like
that's a weird note that somebody's stalker showed up and got taken away before the show even started.
That's what made it wild. Cause I was like, oh, everybody here, like, it's gonna be a really cool vibe. You ain't really got to worry about shit. And I hear, hey, I need y'all to get her out. She's such and such, blah blah. She like broke in my house while I was sleeping, and I said, bro,
damn,
who was you messing with?
Yeah,
that's terrible. But yeah, it was. And then there was like, there was some other shit that happened outside the that was probably the wildest one.
Hell yeah. I mean, valid.
That was, I'm leaving out a lot of details because there's stuff, but it was but
Yeah. I think you covered that one
pretty
well.
Yeah.
All right, now this last one kind of closes up the artist focus, but this is a bit of a denser question. What is it about music? And I mean, you've already kind of answered this, so we're just going to dive into discussion on this. But what is it about music, like the making of the music, the in the thick of it, not what comes from it, from doing it. It's not the response from music, but when you are in the process, in the trench, just right on in it, what is it about that part that keeps you coming back?
I get to show myself what I'm made of every single time, because every single time you do something, naturally it's gonna be like, okay, what can I do to expand on this? Or what can I do to push the envelope? How can I challenge myself today? Because it'd be really easy to sit down and do the same type of song over and over and over, because the best way to learn is through what? Repetition. So the more you do something, the more proficient you become at it. Obviously, for me, it's just like, how many things can I effectively add to my tool belt to keep using so many different like mixtures and combinations to make something unique each time, but still give you the same feel and still not stray too far away from who I am as an artist. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what gets me going each time. My first thing is always like, and that's why for me, kind of how the intro to an instrumental is the same thing that triggers me to write. When I start writing, my biggest thing, how do I get these first 4 bars out? Once I get past the first 4 bars, we can go.
Hell yeah.
But it's got to be something that's going to lock you in at first. So if I don't capture you at first, I'm not going to expect to grab your attention by bar 8.
Yeah.
Why would you tune in later in the verse? You know what I mean? And so just being in that spot at the beginning, not knowing what the fuck this is going to look like when I get done, is always like the most fun shit for me. So that's what gets me going.
Hell yeah. I think it's really interesting how the focus on your music is so like projective. Like even when you are only talking about yourself and your music, you refer to your music as how it impacts you on the receiving end, your perspective towards how your music is received, but at the same time continuing to like retain your own authenticity and like the way that you want to do that. It's a really like it's a really inspiring approach, actually.
Thank you.
Because it's cool that you can focus on what comes from it as much as you focus on what it is.
And I think the reason behind that mindset for me too is I think as creators, especially musicians and artists, we get so fixated on what do people want? How do I gauge what they want? How do I gauge what they want? Well, look at it from a consumer standpoint.
Yeah.
Are you the kind of artist you would want to listen to and support?
Hell yeah.
How do you answer that? Stack that against your favorites that you personally have right now. What is it about them?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That makes you want to, stay tuned in with them, buy their merch, come see them, although Ticketmaster charges you out the fucking ass to go see anybody. You know what I mean? Like, what makes you make those sacrifices of your hard-earned money to go see them still, and then become that?
That's interesting, because I imagine the rebuttal to that narrative, because I hear what you're saying. Obviously. Yeah. I'm not here to argue with you, but I imagine the rebuttal to that would be, then how do you like develop your individuality? Because then you are now, because that narrative could imply like emulating that person, which I know is not what you're saying, but can you extrapolate on that a little bit more?
And some people, that may be how they take it. And I understand that, but for me, it's more of it doesn't even have to be someone that does the same thing that I do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I can pull inspiration from Chris Brown. I don't fucking dance on stage, but it's certain movements and how he controls his body and goes about back and forth on the stage that gathers attention. That, okay, so at this part of his verse, he's making bigger motions here, and I can translate that to wherever that looks like for me on stage.
Gotcha.
Type of deal.
Okay.
You know what I mean? It doesn't mean like I need to go out and learn how to fucking pop lock and like contort my body. That's not going to happen, bro. I got a lot of mileage in football and sports on me. That's not happening. But
I mean, Jerry Rice did it.
Man also caught bricks to train himself to catch a football, which is crazy. That's wild. But yeah, for me personally, it's just everybody, even artists that I'm not a fan of, I can still objectively take a look at what they're doing from a consumer standpoint and say, but I understand why that makes sense. I understand why that's happening. I understand why they're successful. I don't have to like you for you to be successful.
Yeah.
So my opinion doesn't really mean shit. Can I take away something from that?
Hell yeah.
You know what I mean? So that doesn't mean that I would be like emulating like a Trippie Redd or a Lil Peep. You know what I mean? Like nothing like that. But they have some that they do, or like, oh, they're really intentional with their branding and their fashion, how they wear certain things. Like they keep it consistent. you can always take away some from that. Me and Trippie Redd don't wear the same things. Therefore, me keeping my brand consistent still doesn't look the same. So you would never look at me and say, oh, he's dressing like Trippie Redd.
Yeah.
You would just say, oh, based on his X, Y, and Z, his brand matches. Oh, okay, cool. It's not really a monkey see, monkey do thing, but
yeah,
you know,
well, I think you tapped into it at the start of your description. You were saying that it's more the inspiration
behind it, yeah.
of the act of doing something well.
Yeah,
like it you know, like you don't go to the circus because you want to learn how to do backflips.
Exactly.
You go because you want to be dazzled. So that makes perfect sense, and I love that. I think that like it's good. I think we as creators sometimes forget to immerse ourselves in other people other people creating. I think that a lot can come from that, and being open to and experiencing other arts, I think goes a long way as well.
Absolutely.
Like if you only ever listen to like what you do, you're not going to find inspiration from outside sources.
Exactly.
Yeah. Like especially in today's music where it's so expansive. Yeah. Everything is a cross genre in some way.
Everything's mixing, and that's one thing that I can really credit my dad to, was that we listened to everything, whether it was like jazz, bluegrass, hip hop. Like you get in the car, you'd hear Kenny G, Etta James, T.I., Snoop. Like everything was everything, but there were so many different genres of music. I was like, oh, and you start to kind of like let your brain go and say, well, what would it sound like if you kind of had this melody over this type of beat? How would you approach that? And it just allows you to stay open. So to your point, yeah, if you allow yourself to only stay in this box of just like everything you only do and create that one echo chamber, you're not going to hear anything else.
Exactly.
So
exactly. All right, now let's go ahead and we're going to move on to some hypothetical questions.
Oh, hit me.
These are a bunch of what ifs. There are no wrong answers. Sky's the limit.
There's always a wrong answer.
Fair. For this first one, if you could work with any one artist who's currently alive, and if it's a group, you got to pick a single member from the group.
Oh, damn.
Who would you work with, and how would you work with them?
There's no way I could not say Lil Wayne and feel like I was true to myself if I left this room.
Fair.
I can think of a lot of different other artists that I would definitely like mesh well with, but definitely Wayne.
Yeah.
And honestly, I would work with Wayne by letting him be exactly who he is. Like I wouldn't try to send the song structure where he only gets like 8 bars or whatnot. I'm gonna just send you the open first tune. Here's the first chorus. Do what you want to do with it. If you destroy me on this shit, I don't care. That's the GOAT being the GOAT.
Yeah.
Like you don't put Michael Jordan on the court with you for him to sit and be second. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You just want to see where you stack up against some of the greats. So I would, 100%, not a question.
I'm gonna let you know he would beat me at basketball for sure. I know exactly where I'd stack up.
Oh, yeah. Michael Jordan now would still cook me. Yeah. I'm a pretty damn good basketball player, but like it's levels to shit, bro. Like
fair. And then subsequently, who's a local artist that you're aware of? They're on your, like, you know of their existence, but you haven't gotten to interact with yet, but you would like to just based on their music?
That's a tough question only because I don't know who I haven't interacted with like that.
That's fair. You do say you're out there a lot. So if you can't think of a person you haven't interacted with yet, who's the most recent one? We'll default to that.
I've interacted with that. I still want to like get a track and still going together with.
Yeah.
It's 2 people. Can I pick 2? Can I pick 2? Can I pick 2? They both in the same camp too. I think it'd either be Briggsy from TME or Lear from the P.
Okay.
Just because like this, they don't attack beats the way I hear most people attack them.
Okay.
And I'm the same kind of way. So it's like if we sit down in a room, like what can we really put together? Like how creative can we get? Something that's still gonna be authentic but really hard hitting, and something that's like really for anybody to play, but more so tailored for where we come from. But like, yeah, that would be.
Hell yeah.
That'd be the one. So if y'all get a hold of this, shout out to y'all. Let's work. Both y'all got my number. Stop playing.
Hey, y'all know what to do. Add them in the comments. Let's make it happen.
That part.
Hell yeah. And then for this next one, like I said before, sky is literally the limits here. If you could perform anywhere in the world, and you wouldn't have to worry about crowd access or power, or building stability, guaranteed best lineup, best show ever, where would you want that show to be?
Where would I want that show to be? Somewhere warm, for sure. So
Good
we're gonna
answer.
start there. So either like, you know what? I think I would want to have it. I lied.
Antarctica.
No, fuck, not that bad. And maybe still in the summer, but I would want to have it at the old Yankee Stadium.
Okay.
There's just a certain like, I'll also visit that building one time and just like the allure and just like the feeling I felt when I walked in, everything just felt big. You know what I mean? Like, so if I was going to do something like that, I want to do it in a spot where everything felt fucking huge.
Yeah.
You know, so that would be a spot. Some history behind it and then see what kind of history we can make. Like when rappers go to the Garden, but everyone goes to the Garden. So I would want to flip that, just being me, because
You know what's funny? I just said that the other day that like, or like to me, that's like the place, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's how you know you made it. It is not a common answer.
no one ever even acknowledges it.
I know.
And it's like, bro,
It's wild
the
to
Garden.
me. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, maybe one day.
Someday.
At least for me. I mean, you can go wherever you want to.
Someday. Somebody got to do the podcast.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. I'll have somebody on the show just in the center.
That'd be lit.
Hell yeah. All right. And then to wrap it up, if you had to perform or if you had to do a completely different genre than any other genre you've been a part of or performed before, and you would be equally as proficient as you are in your main one now, and you can't pick country or electronic music, what would you pick?
R&B.
Boom. Just on it.
Wasn't even close.
So you've never done anything that's got some R&B in it?
I have, but not from me doing like lead vocals. I've done some supporting vocals on my own stuff, but never like start to finish, like chorus, all that stuff vocally. So I think that's what it would be. If you want me to jump totally outside the R&B hip hop realm totally, then definitely some metal.
Okay.
I don't listen to metal, but if I had to pick something else like with that type of raw energy I could really convey that shit with, it would be that. Like,
Hell yeah.
I'm wearing a fucking punk jacket right now, and you know what I mean? Like, it's
You should check out an artist named 410 Noodles with a Z.
410 Noodles with a Z.
Yeah. He actually has an episode from the past. If you check it out, it's really cool. It's on a yacht. But he has this. It's like
that's hard.
Yeah. The whole interview and his single song performance. Yeah, definitely worth checking out. But he has kind of like a darker sound to his sound. So if you're not really into that realm, but you wanted to see kind of like what an influence would sound like, really good opportunity to check that out.
I'm gonna do it. I'm always open minded to shit.
Hell yeah. Well, there you go. You're welcome, 410. Shameless plug. No, I'm kidding. Hey, he's the homie for sure. All right, we're gonna go ahead and start wrapping this up. What do you have coming up in the future? Say like end of October and onwards.
Not too much. I got some freestyles dropping to kind of keep everybody. Keep them tuned in.
Yeah.
But also have a video dropping from the number 25 freestyle. Work with my dog, Road 3 Films. Shout out to you, my boy, always. That's going to be dropping probably around November-ish or so. I have a feature with Airplane James from the Diamond Lane camp down in LA, so we're going to get something together pretty soon here. After that, I'm dropping a project that me and Dre Slaps put together called Dat 2. So it's going to be a couple of Johns off that's getting dropped, singles. And then after that, not too much, man. Just on to the next thing. Tentatively a show November 2nd at the White House Social Club.
Okay.
So, yeah, I'll definitely have more details as time rolls along in the near future here. So stay tuned. Be dope if you could slide.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, that's it, man. Other than that, I'll just be out of the way trying to write some dope shit in the meantime.
Hell yeah. And then for this next one, go ahead and look straight at the camera and tell people how they can find you.
Yes, you can definitely find me on Instagram, Twitter at Scooter Rogers _ That's SCOOTERROGERS _ You can find me on all music platforms, Scooter Rogers, Spotify, Apple, Tidal, Amazon, wherever is up and popping that you kids are into these days. So
Hell yeah. And then any other plugs, any other shout outs, anybody else you want to put on while you're on here?
Yeah, shout out to my dog Direct. That's my dog, my ace, my rounds. Really talented artist. You should probably get him on the show actually. Shout out to my dog DT. Shout out to my girl Emma. She even made the trip up here with me today. Shout out to the Rare Vibe Camp. Yeah, man, that's about it. Shout out to the entire East Side, man. I love y'all. Y'all know what the fuck going on. But yeah, that's that.
Hell yeah. All right, and then I've got one more question for you. But
What up?
before we do, I'm gonna steal the camera for just a second. As always, y'all, please make sure to like, subscribe, push all the buttons, do all the things. You know, I don't know where they are, but you do, and I trust you. With that being said, the final question. What is your guilty pleasure song?
My guilty pleasure song?
Yeah.
New Religion by Soulja Boy. Bro is not saying
You
shit.
just had
it doesn't rap.
You just
Bro,
had that. You were just on that.
Yeah, not even close. Not even close.
Was that in the car on the ride up?
No, but she's heard me. She
Okay.
knows the story behind it. Yeah, that's my one. Like, But to defend myself, it's the feel of the song from the first like little bit from the beat build to right when the lyrics start. It's hard. So I'm just like, I don't care what you're talking about. I'm locked in right now. Like I'm not expecting like the top upper echelon lyricism from him. So I'm just like, oh, the feel is there. We rocking. So shout out to Big Draco.
Yeah, no, that's
the first rapper to ever have an iPhone.
That was a great answer. Definitely. If anybody needs examples for the future, go with that. Nailed it.
Yeah. Shameless plug, y'all. New Religion, Soulja Boy. There it is.
Hell yeah. All right, we're going to go ahead and get up on out of here. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah. Appreciate y'all having me, man. Love.
Hell yeah. This has been another exciting episode of Jimmy's Jambox. I'm Jimmy.
I'm Scooter Rogers.
And we're signing off. Later, y'all.
That's a wrap. This is not a podcast. This is a show. Keep jamming.